Hi everybody, how's it going? I hope you're doing well, keeping safe, all that jazz. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I put a few throughout my social medias. I put some posts here and there asking people, okay, send me a question. I'm going to do a Q&A vid. Let me know what you're curious about, that kind of thing. The response was not huge, but enough for me to have content to put on. So I'm thankful for everybody who posted anything. There's a few of them that I got through Facebook, through uh, one or two in my comment section. Some people contacted me privately. Overall, I had maybe about 20, 25, 20, let's say about 20. Some of them were repetitive, so I kind of combined them into the one question. I'm not going to give any names because I had to combine them. But yeah, there's about eight solid questions that I can wax with. So okay, let's do this. So I have the screen on this side, that's why I'm just looking over there. Let's see. Question number one: is this fan film supposed to adapt the original Dragon Ball cartoon or the DBZ sequel series? It takes place during the Z period. Okay, but it's not an adaptation of any particular storyline. There's a few awesome movies that were made, movies that were made that took a particular storyline, or a specific villain, or a specific timeline, or a specific something, and then they made it their own, and they're beautiful. But mine is gonna take place during Dragon Ball Z, but it has characters, or it has references, or it has something to people from the original Dragon Ball. So it's not. It's kind of confusing, but I mean, yeah, because if I dive into too much details, I'm giving actually stuff that is on the script. So, which by the way, the first draft is already done. In a week or two, I'm going to dive back in and do draft number two. And by the way, I have a radio show or live stream, Facebook, whatever you call it, on November 4th, which is next week. And yeah, I can I'll probably discuss it in more detail at that point. But yeah, it takes place. So it's supposed to be it's not an adaptation of the original Dragon Ball. It's not an adaptation of Dragon Ball Z, but it's a story that takes place along the canon timeline. So hopefully that answers that question. Let's see. Question number two: what inspired you to make a movie on DBZ? Well, Dragon Ball, I've been a fan of it since beginning of the 90s, so which shows a lot about my age, but I've been following the original Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z or Z, again, depending where you're from, uh, forever. Back before it even hit the US airwaves, back when it was all fan subs. For those of you who don't know what fan subs are, because you're probably too young to remember, before, when the original Dragon Ball series or Dragon Ball Z series came to TV, it was heavily edited, and the dubs were not all that great. They were not horrible by any stretch of the imagination. They were solid, but the editing was really really bad, and a lot of and in Dragon Ball they swear a lot. So all of a sudden, when in the English version it was supposed to come, they used to say something like curses or whatever. And so me, I used to watch the fan subs. So original Japanese with accurately translated English subtitles that were done by fans for fans, and I used to gravitate towards those more. I used to read the manga books in French, watch the Dragon Ball in Japanese, and I even got my hands on a few French Dragon Ball subs tapes from France, so like in French. So and even them, they were really well done. So it was very very nice. So that's and so I've been always a part of that. For me, Dragon Ball, Gundam. I used to have if you go back, Goldorak kind of thing, and Goldorak in the '70s, and all that good stuff. Akira, Ninja Scroll was one of the movies that that really was something that was a fan of. Ninja Scroll came out in '93 or something, so highly recommend all of that stuff. Watch it all. But for me, yeah, Dragon Ball was always a part of my cartoon experience. There were other ones that I used to watch before I even knew that what Japanese animation was, and it was always like a part of me. Like just once I knew what the name was, like when I knew what the name manga and anime and all that stuff was, Dragon Ball entered my life. So that's how far back I'm going. So now basically, so it's going on pretty much 30 years. So it was always in a bucket list item of mine just to get a trailer made. That for me already is a major accomplishment. But I want to get that movie done, and I need your help. I need your help. For anybody who sees this, if you just contribute $5, if let's say the trailer hits, let's say like it already hit over 2,000 hits, but if let's say from now until it reaches 5,000 hits, if everybody who watches just gives $5, it will contribute tremendously. So I need your help, guys. So hopefully it will happen. I'm stubborn about that. I'm gonna try my best to make it happen. So that answers that question, I hope. And there's another one that I hear all the time, and I figured I'll tackle it. Isn't Yamcha the weakest and a loser? Why him? First of all, he's not, and he's not. Okay. Now let me geek out for you for a second. I can go back as far as whatever and always prove to you guys that Yamcha is the second strongest. For me, if you talk power levels or whatever, if you think for yourself for a second, if you truly think and look at what happened, Yamcha was always number 2. Always. Now, for me, he was the first character that had any depth. The first character that had real life applications. Remember, when I watched this, it was 1991. I was beginning my teens. And there you go. You have like a character who's shy with girls, which is most of the teens at that early teens at that point, shy with girls. He wants to do the right thing, but he's in survival mode. He's a fan of martial arts, but life gets in the way. And then, so he always had that real life personality, even as he evolved. So at the beginning, he was afraid of girls, and then once he got over the hump, so to speak, he had to combine relationship with martial arts. Like, for example, if you read up on Yamcha, the amount of training that he did for the first martial arts tournament is, I think, 1 or 2 months. Goku and Krillin trained for years. He trained for 1 or 2 months. Lost in the first round, like in the top 8 first round, but he only trained for a few months. Then, when he actually started training, what happened? Him and Tenshinhan had an awesome fight. He lost to the champion, which also in the previous martial arts tournaments, he lost to the champion. And he was the second one behind Goku pretty much to do the Kamehameha wave. Nobody else did. Like, once he got a real master going, the improvement was amazing. Now, if let's say you go to Dragon Ball Z, it was always him and Tenshinhan training. And even Chaozu made a comment that Chaozu, Tenshinhan and Yamcha are pretty much equal. All right? So if Tenshinhan is the strongest, Yamcha is practically equal. Yeah. And even then, like the part for me that really put the gap in between, when Tenshinhan, Yamcha, and the rest, when they died and they went to Kenkai, Yamcha beat Rikum, who basically swung around Krillin, Gohan, and Vegeta like like a used bra in a concert, just nothing. Like he couldn't do like he beat him like it was nothing. So and this is after the grand leader of Dynamics unleashed his hidden potential, and after the training of Yamcha. So the difference was skyrocketing. And even if you want to tackle the Cyberman death, he was just cocky. He was just cocky. So he turned his back, and that's what happened. And the reason that he wanted to go instead of Krillin is because Krillin already died in the original Dragon Ball. He didn't want to do it again. Because for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure everybody knows, you cannot resuscitate the same person twice in a Dragon Ball. So Yamcha knew that the risk was there, but he still went on cocky and that kind of thing against somebody with the same strength that the previous year Goku died against. Remember, Raditz had a power level of 1200, the Cybermen are 1200. Goku had to die for Raditz to die. Yamcha just toyed with that, and that's within 1 year. 1 year to become equal to the Tenshinhan. So for me, throughout, Yamcha was always the number 2 guy, even when he wasn't fighting. It's not like if you're fighting, if you don't fight, you melt away. You might be rusty, but the power is there. If let's say anybody here plays basketball, for example, let's say now because of the COVID situation that we're having, you're not exactly out of shape if you don't play basketball. But once you get back on the court, you might be rusty. But when the rust goes away, you're there. Everything is there. Anybody who played any kind of ball, just by the fact that you're doing some kind of activity, it doesn't mean like if you're sleeping, your power goes away. You're just not in it. But once you get back into it, it's yeah. So you don't lose strength. I never understood that mentality. You lose strength. Doesn't jive with me. Yamcha was always number 2, so and on top of that, he has to pay rent. He has to work for a living. He had to juggle a relationship. Up until the Android saga, he was in a relationship. Everybody is stuck in their own little corner of the world, doing whatever it is. Goku is up in a farm, bench pressing cows. Vegeta is married into money, so he maintains his prince status because he doesn't have to worry about working. Piccolo just needs like a chocolate shake, and he's good for 3 years. Nobody has to worry about any kind of stuff. So I'm just the only one who has to worry about this stuff. So in terms of personality, he has a story to tell. His life seems to be more interesting. And if let's say you want to sit down and party with not necessarily party, but at least hang out with and have a great time with, out of all the characters in all Dragon Ball, Yamcha is the one you want to hang out with. He has the personality, he has the character depth, and the stories with him are just that much more interesting. I think that's the reason why other people did specific timelines of telling specific stories, because the characters themselves are not that compelling in terms of story development. Yamcha is. And if I don't get my vision done, I hope somebody else has the courage and has the nerve and wants to get together with me and make it happen. I have my own crew, my own contacts, which are wonderful, and I'm hoping that we can raise the money in doing that. But if somebody wants to lend a hand of getting it done, combining resources, absolutely, I don't mind. So, which kind of brings me up to another question that somebody asked, but it's gonna come later. I'm just going in order. So let's see. So this was question number 1, 2, 3. So who is the antagonist? There was another question. Who's the antagonist? So I'm assuming who's the villain. I'm not going to tell you who the villain is, but you've seen him before. And the villain is canon. Okay? So it's not anybody from the movies or anything like that. It's somebody from the manga, from the anime. It's a legit villain. Okay? So once everything gets close together, you'll see. I'm not going to tell you who that villain is, but it's canon. What timeline does it take place? So it's kind of like similar to the first question. What timeline does it take place? It takes about 4 or 5 years after the Cell Saga. After the Cell Saga, there's everybody who knows the anime and the manga, the Buu Saga takes place 7 years after. This is in between those. Okay, so it's in between those. That's where it takes place. Second place. What timeline does it take place? It takes place in the same mainstream timeline. It's not the alternate timeline like like future Trunks or that kind of thing. It's not. It's nothing like that. It's the canon timeline. Okay. So let's see. This one. Okay. Have you thought about a possible collaboration with previous YouTube groups who have produced live action Dragon Ball videos? With the right budget, you all should get together. You all should get together. That is actually, I mean, I would love to, but there might be a simple, complicated matter of geography. I mean, for me, I'm based in Canada, Montreal to be exact. My crew, my team is based in Toronto. The other people who might be in the U.S. or might be with in other countries, basically, we might not be able to coordinate it as properly as we would like. Even if we wanted to, the fact that we have all these COVID restrictions right now kind of messes things up for us in terms of even getting that possibility of it being hopeful. So that's why it's not feasible. I'm not saying no to that. If that were to happen, that would be amazing. If anybody thinks like they want to collaborate with me and gather resources and see how we can make this project happen, by all means. I mean, for me, it's a bucket list item. If I'm involved in making this happen, I am more than happy. I'm not like trying to like say, oh, this is mine. Go away, you know. I just want it to happen, you know. So if it happens, perfect. But for now, I think that because of the situation that the world is in, might be a little bit complicated. Even if there were some people, I mean, nobody. First of all, nobody contacted me saying that they're interested in doing that in the first place. But even if they did, there could be those limitations. That's what I'm trying to say. Why not do a mainstream storyline that already exists? Well, because I want to tell a somewhat original story. Like everything that I've seen, and it looks awesome. It's stories that we've seen. It's like when a friend of mine, when me and a friend of mine back in the day we went to see Titanic. I know what happens at the end. The ship sinks. We know that. We know the ship sinks at the end. There's no revelation there. Anybody who knows the story of the Titanic before you go to see the movie, you know the ship sinks. So if I do the main storyline that everybody knows, if let's say I do the Saiyan saga, let's say I do Namek saga, Frieza, whatever, we know what the story is. Like all the Trunk future, the future Trunk saga, the alternate timeline is beautifully well made. It's very beautifully well made. Gorgeous, anything top to bottom, tiny little things. Even if you dive in there, they're also great looking. But I know how the story ends. Everybody who knows the anime and the manga knows how the story ends. I want something, you know, where surprise me with the dialogue, surprise me with the events until the show fight. Like, how exactly does it happen? In the future Trunks timeline, we know Gohan will lose an arm. We know Gohan will die. We know this. We know that. We know this. We know that, you know? So even if you go the Boo saga, we know that. So if I do, sorry, just a little bit of water. So even if we do that, like a mainstream line, it's as beautiful as it is. Everybody will know what it is. I wanted an original idea, and I had an original idea. The idea that came to me, and I thought it's worth exploring. So a good character, good antagonist. The way that villain basically comes about, I think, is nice, and it jives in with everything that happens. It doesn't mess up the timeline too much. It's and it still pays proper tribute and to everything, you know. So I think it's going to happen. I'm working really hard, and I'm going to work really hard trying to get the crowdfunding campaign going. And if you guys are watching this, anybody who sees this, just $5, contribute $5. We have 1,000 views, $5 each. It's already $5,000 right there. That helps make this movie happen. It's not you know, like it's not asking for the end of the world. It's a Starbucks coffee. That's it. Anybody who sees this, put $5. It's Starbucks coffee. That's all it is. Doesn't change your world, but if a lot of you do it, it will definitely change mine in the sense that it will help to make that movie happen. So looking forward to help from everybody. These are the questions. These are the answers. Post your comments, subscribe, like, share, blast it everywhere, and watch my clip about the radio show. In the description, there's some links there. Who to follow on Twitter? You can watch on Twitter, on Facebook. I think there's other places, but there's enough information there. You can just go there and watch it. So you guys are more welcome to come by and watch it. So looking forward to hearing from everybody, and thank you very much for your time. Until next time.